Hello and welcome to Not Without My Sister, where today I, Rosemary McCabe, am feeling incredibly motivated. Thanks to the fact that I woke up this morning. No, I'm lying. I woke up this morning, kept my pajamas on for about 4 hours. Then I got dressed in my workout gear because I thought to myself, if I'm in my workout gear, I'm more inclined to do workout. But it's now 2:15. We're recording the podcast. I then have to edit the podcast. I have two pieces to write. I'm not sure when I'm actually going to get this workout done, so that I might be annoyed at myself. Do you ever do that?
Well, when did you get into the workout gear?
At about 10:30.
Do you know what? All jokes aside, Dad has already adopted an American twang. Just you reminded me there when he said 2:30.
I knew as I said 10:30 that you were going to go, so American. Sorry,
No, well,
10:30. I got into my workout gear at about 10:30.
good one. Well, I said something to Dad last night. Would you mind picking that up or something? And he goes, I just put it out in the garage.
He loves
What?
saying garage. He
Who is
loves
he?
to say the word garage.
Well, do I ever do that? What I actually do is I go to bed. And when I'm in bed, I give myself a pep talk. Tomorrow you'll do this. You should get up. You should do this. You should go downstairs, get on the rowing machine. You should get up and get into your workout gear for all the reasons you just espoused. You should do this. You should do that. And I go, I am going to, I'm like, it'll only be 15 minutes. You'll have a quick shower. You'll be great. You're like at home now all the time. You can do these things. The next evening at about 11 p.m., I go, oh, geez, I had all these plans I forgot about. So I need to start leaving myself motivational post-it notes. Like, who did that? Was that Bridget Jones? Somebody like that.
No, that was, oh my God, that show I loved with Gabrielle Union.
Oh, yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
Being Mary Jane.
Being Mary Jane, yeah. Well, I loved it until I didn't. It kind of jumped the shark towards the end.
Well, I loved it until it got to that part where she was hosting the TV show. And then like it was all about her career and it was all infighting between her and her co-host. And like I just wanted her to be dating those hunks.
Well, I actually loved it until the point where she stole that guy's sperm and kept it in the freezer. And I just thought that was really weird. I was like, that's such a cliche that women don't do. Maybe they do. I don't think they do.
I think they do. Oh no, that was a TV show. I was about to say, I read an article. No, that was a fictional TV show. Okay, so do I do that? You know, I've been trying to motivate myself, as you can imagine right now, to apply for jobs. But every job needs a cover letter. And so every job requires that you tailor your CV. So I was actually this morning trying to figure out how to motivate myself. And I'm like, I really should put like 5 hours a day aside and just treat it like a normal work day and go and sit down and apply for these jobs. Well, it takes an hour. I just applied for one and it took an hour.
I know. 5 hours though. I'm overwhelmed by this sheer time that you would be dedicating to this slog.
Well, or I should do like a friend of mine who was looking for a job recently and she's like, I'm doing my list of she's like, I'm being really tailored, really honing in on only the jobs I want. But I'm like, I've already applied to those 5 jobs that I want and nobody's replied to me. So now I've got to like spread my applications wider, you know? And
yeah.
like,
now you've got to apply for the 300 jobs that like you probably would enjoy, but weren't the ones that immediately jumped out.
But also like right now, every time you go to apply for something, it says 472 applicants in the last day. Like it's very demoralizing. So I'm trying to figure out how to motivate myself for that because I'm not very, also I'm like, I'd like to have a break. I feel like this is an opportunity to have a break, but it's hard. It'd be good to have a break knowing you had a job at X date.
Knowing everything was sorted, yeah. I mean, as you said that, like I'm trying to motivate myself to apply for jobs, I'm going, oh my God, you are the most motivated person. Literally the day after you finished at work, you were applying for jobs. I would have been, okay, let's be honest, would have been in bed, eating toast, and then out of bed eating Taj Mahal for at least a week after being let go. Like, I think you actually responded amazingly in terms of motivation.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I was trying to motivate mom and dad to move in with us, right? So I'm like, you should and I was looking at houses in America and I was looking at houses in Ireland and, you know, they're planning to sell their own house. So they were like, we'll sell our house. And I said, and then you can split the proceeds. You can invest your half, well, my half, my future half with me and like go halves with me on a house or thirds with me on a house. And you can give the other half to Rosemary, right? Because eventually she'd get it anyways. You give it to her and they're like, that's a great idea. And that'd give her a great kickstart, blah, 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 blah. Right now you're looking delighted right now, right? I know, you're welcome.
Well, actually, no, I was thinking, I mean, this is ridiculous, but I was thinking, hang on, what if, okay, so they're still alive, they've sold the house, they've given me half, they've taken the other half and they've invested into a house with you. What if that house then becomes 4 times more valuable and then they die and I'm like, well, I want half of that.
Well, then you're weird because you got your half, you're done. right? That's my half that they gave me, and it's then mine. It passes to me. It's not anything to do with you. It's not your money anymore.
Well, I don't like this idea. We'll have to discuss.
What? Are you joking?
Yes.
It was actually Dad's idea. Dad goes, here's what we should do, right? And I said, and he goes, no, we should give, this to Rosemary and she'd use it now and it'd be great for her, right? Then Mom goes, well, how do you know about that? I mean, if you're buying a house anyway, we'll give some to Rose. We'll give Rosemary the half and then I'll give you a quarter for the house. Then we'll keep the other quarter. I'm like, this does not seem remotely fair. I know you're looking like that's a better plan. Then I was like, I was like, how do I motivate Mom to go back to my plan? But like, anyway, I'm not that motivated because then they're very picky house buyers as well. I felt very motivated this morning. I was looking at all these nice houses in Ireland and here as well. But like, it's hard because I could be looking at a house in any city in America, because like I don't have a job, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But Mom, like I said to Mom this morning, now tell me, just like I said, money, no object. Tell me your absolute dream spot. If you could plant your dream home, where would it be in Ireland? I mean, probably, Terranure, we could probably afford something there. I go, no. Like, it's not about your budget. Well, I looked at a lovely house here, but they had no back garden. I'm like, no, Mom, like the house is your dream house. Like this, it's hard. She's not like, imagination is not her forte.
I was just about to say, Claire McCabe has a lot of talents. Having a great imagination is not one of them. She just cannot think like, but I mean, Beatrice, I'm the same. Like when I was at therapy last week and she was going, okay, imagine if you're putting your feelings into what she calls a container, right? I started with this new therapist and one of her methods, one of her resources is to talk about how you can basically try to kind of, what's it called? Compartmentalize.
Does she know how many feelings you have? How big is this container?
It's a magic container, Beatrice, and could be as big as you need it to be. Absolute bitch. So she was like, imagine, what does your container look like? It can look like anything. It can be any kind of object. And once you open it up, it could be any size. And I was like, it's a filing cabinet. It's a grey filing cabinet. It's got 2 drawers. Because we have a grey filing cabinet at home with 2 drawers. I literally could not imagine. And I was thinking that this is probably so boring. I'm sure other people are like, it's a barrel, and when you open the barrel it turns into like a mansion, and then you walk down the corridor and there's this room and that's where I keep my happy feelings, and then I keep my other, and there's a couch and there's this, and I was like, it's a filing cabinet with some hanging drawers and that's it. Like
it's like a memory. It's like a memory palace. Like I always find it hard to think about it. I find it hard when I close my eyes to imagine the house that I even live in. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a lot of work to conjure up in my mind the specifics of a room, even though I've just sat in it.
I think that's why I find the idea of writing a novel sometimes very challenging. The story I can kind of get my head around, but when people create these, I read this book called The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, and in it she had created this entire world, like not our world, kind of like Lord of the Ringsy, do you know what I mean? This kind of fantasy sci-fi world. And I was just going, how do people come up with once again, I'm like, it's a filing cabinet. How do people come up with these things? I am Mom. I'm sounding more and more like Mom. Like, how do people come up with these ideas? How do I motivate myself to get some imagination?
Well, I blame Granny, actually. And it makes me think about how careful you have to be when you talk to kids, when you give them feedback or constructive criticism or feedback or whatever. I remember I wrote a short story when I was about 7, I suppose, 8 maybe, and I gave it to our granny, and she came back and said it was very good, but there was a lot of people talking to each other, like, where were the descriptors, where were the adjectives, like what kind of room were they in? And now, like, I'm 44, and every time I write something fictional, I go, is this interesting enough? What was the room like? Oh, there are no adjectives here. Oh, goodbye. And I just stop writing, all from one tiny piece of feedback years ago.
But you know what? That's also, she could have given that feedback to someone else who would be like, now I litter my writing with incredible descriptions of scenery and furniture and people and place, and everything's so rich and lush. Whereas you're like, I'm not bothering.
I just suppose okay, so we can chalk that up to motivation. I find feedback unmotivating because it gets me really fixated on what I'm doing wrong. Like I remember once my cousin, who's an artist, said to me as well, like I was drawing, but he was quite disparaging in his commentary. And he was like, your lines are terrible. Your line work is terrible. Like it's really back and forth and scratchy, and it needs to be definite. It needs to be, if you look at like Klimt or Picasso, they have this amazing ability, actually Orpin, any of those, they have this amazing ability to do life drawing, and to have one continuous line, like so confident, so accurate. And mine is like this hash line, kind of like I'm sort of tentatively sketching it in. And so now I go like, whenever I'm drawing, I'm like, there's no point. There's no point in like trying to have some nice outline because I'm too hashy.
It's interesting to me that you really don't want to take feedback, and yet you love to give feedback.
I love to take feedback. I just think as a child is when I was in my embryonic state.
Oh, right. You needed encouragement. You didn't need to be put down. You needed to be lifted up.
I don't even know that they were putting me down. I didn't need something so specific. I needed a
I get you,
broader
yeah.
feedback. I needed something that didn't hone in on something that like you were going to develop over the years. Like all those things, they weren't fixed. They weren't, solidified characteristics of how I drew or wrote, but they've become obsessions over the years. And I don't know why. I mean, obviously I valued the feedback from these two individuals. I just think you have to be really careful what you say to kids because like truly a throwaway comment lives with them for 50 years,
Well, you know what? Everybody always just said to me, your problem is you start writing a great story and then you get bored. And now what happens, Beatrice? I start writing a great story and then I get bored. They made this happen. Which came first, the great story or the boredom? The chicken or the egg?
So you haven't done your workout yet, and how long you've been up since 10:30. You got into the workout gear at 10:30. It's currently 2:30. We met at 2, so you only had an hour and a half. Oh no, sorry. 3.5 hours to work out. But I bet you were minding a baby.
No, I wasn't. Brandon's here minding the baby, but I was actually working.
Oh, well then you were at work. You can't be working out while you're at work.
I know, yeah, but I need to I would like to find a time to try and fit it in. Well, would I like to find time I'd like to never have to work out ever again, to be perfectly honest. But I have started to get into a panic about the inevitable onslaught of aging and how I need to get my body working a bit better for me because, like, my arms have started to get really sore holding the baby and I was gardening yesterday and my legs are now killing me. So I'm like, I need to build up some muscle tone.
Rosemary, he's absolutely massive.
It's very heavy.
Yeah, he's massive. Sure, somebody said yesterday his legs are down to your knees when you're holding him. You're fine. He's massive.
He's also started, like, when he's nursing now, I mean, he started catapulting himself. Today he was nursing with his head completely upside down, with his bum up in the air, his head completely upside down, and milk started to come out his nose. And he was just, like, looking at it as it dripped out his nostril.
Absolutely gross.
I know, it was gross.
So is it that you don't have time to work out? Genuinely, that's not a bitchy comment. Or is it that like you don't have a regular time to work out? Like I realize now, like not being at a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever time, that I struggle without a routine. If I'm going to work out, I need to say every X day I'm going to do it at this time because the day is just gone. How is it 2:30?
I know. I think having a regular time, like when I used to go to lifting classes at Lift in Smithfield, and I knew exactly, okay, I'm going at 7:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays or whatever. Like, that's obviously great because you're going, you go, it's over. It's also in a gym where it's like someone else sets up and puts back the equipment. You know what I mean? So you don't have to, the only thing you have to do is show up. So that was good.
So what do you have to do for the Peloton now?
Well, yeah, as I said that, I was like, I suppose I just have to show up and put my shoes on. But that feels like a lot of effort. And then sometimes I can't find my headphones and that's annoying, or the baby's asleep. So I have to find my headphones, but I can't find my headphones, so I can't have it on loud. So that's one excuse. And then I have thought about, I've thought about getting back into the weights. And we have weights at home, but then I'm just like,
yeah, you love that. Love that.
I know, but I'm really put off at the moment by the idea that I'm going to be so sore, because you're always just sore when you start anything. I hate that feeling. I hate starting at the beginning, Beatrice. I'm going to be crap again. I just don't want to do it if I'm going to be crap.
Whoa.
There's my motivation problem.
I don't mind the feeling sore. I just hate doing it. Actually, even lifting weights might be okay. I hate cardio. Like, I hate it. And I'm the whole time going, I'm failing. Instead of, you got this. I've got the wrong attitude.
Maybe we should decide, I'm suddenly having a brainwave. Maybe I should bring the weights over to your house and we should decide that 3 times a week, we're going to get together, we're going to record a podcast, and then we're going to work out. You're looking alarmed.
No, I would actually appreciate, I liked the second part of it, I would actually appreciate a regular podcast routine. I hated the first part about working out, but if one leads to the other, I could do it. And last night I was like, I'm going to give up chocolate. I'm going to give up sweets. I haven't even, well, the part of the fact that it's nearly Lent, I was like, I used to not even eat sweets or care about them. There were like, at one point I was like eating a Snickers bar, this is years ago. And I was like, I haven't eaten a bar of chocolate for 3 years. And as I was having this conversation, I aimlessly walked over to the fridge, put on the kettle, walked over to the fridge, took 3 tiny mini Cadbury eggs out of the fridge, popped them in my mouth as I was having this thought, and then went, oh, sugar.
That's just like the time I decided to become vegetarian and then literally had a bacon sandwich as I was like planning out my vegetarian life.
That was your unconscious mind saying, don't forget about bacon. Well, I'll tell you. So Don is currently Don is very motivated today. He's running around the house and he can't find the key to the lawnmower anywhere. So I get what you're saying about the earphones. Like you can't, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
You have
know.
a great
Sometimes
plan.
it's just like yesterday I thought to myself, I'm going to clean the windows. And then I went, no, Beatrice has the charger for that thing, right? And I was like, so I can't do it. I can't do it. Did I find the charger 2 seconds later? Yes.
Oh, you didn't tell me. I've been looking for it.
Sorry, I found the
Mother
charger.
of
You don't have it.
God.
I have it. Don't worry. Listen, you should be relieved. I have it.
So are you telling me I couldn't even have been using it for months?
I am, Beatrice.
Oh, for God's sake.
Imagine if that was a trick. I was like, I'll give it to her without the charger and see if she ever uses it. It wasn't.
I'll tell you what, I'm very motivated by things when I no longer have access to them. The minute I had to give you back the window washing machine, I'm like dying to wash those windows now. Absolutely dying to.
I know. And for the last 3 weeks, I've been looking at my front windows and getting really annoyed. Like, oh, they're so dirty. If only Beatrice didn't have that thing. Then I got it back, plugged it in. It's sharp. No excuses. And am I washing the windows? No. I'm in my workout gear trying to motivate myself to get in the Peloton. Like, as a way to avoid washing the windows, basically.
Washing the windows would be a workout. Why did you, in your workout gear, go and wash the windows and call it a win? I bet your arms will be killing you doing this on the windows.
Well, you only really use one arm.
Well, use them both. Raise the other one in sympathy.
No, I only have one vacuum.
Yeah, but raise the other one for exercise.
Okay.
Put a weight in the other arm while you're doing this. Look like this. Look.
I can see exactly what you're doing.
Oh my God, my arms are already sore. My arms are already hurting me. Ow.
The thing is, I actually like doing the Peloton. I don't know if I actually like. Well, I like the feeling of like being really sweaty. I like the feeling of being smug, basically.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's the exercise. I think it's the feeling of accomplishment afterwards that I appreciate. Like, I don't think I get endorphins from moving my body. I think I get endorphins from the knowledge that I have moved my body.
I get endorphins from moving other people's bodies. To the kids at the garden. They're at the garden today.
God.
Blissfully quiet in the house. I was endorphined all morning till they all started screaming and then bringing all the blankets in the house out to the tree house.
Oh, well, listen.
I know that's what I said.
There are worse things they could do.
There are worse things they could do. That's what I was thinking. You know what? Doing that with my arms now reminded me the other day I went around and replaced all the batteries in the smoke alarms. And honestly, just trying to do, I actually need better arm muscles. Just trying to twist one smoke alarm. My arm, I actually had to hold my arm up like this to try and hold this. That's a disgrace.
No, Beatrice, I was trying to screw, one of those like little hooks to hang a mobile from. I was trying to like express solidarity with you there. I was trying to screw one of those little hooks into the ceiling, and you have to screw and push at the same time. I regret this entire conversation. And my arm was in absolute agony. So it's not just you.
In bits, right?
In absolute bits. I had to go and lie down afterwards.
And did you really?
No. I wanted to, but
Dad,
no.
then, well, I was trying to stand. I was like, do you think it's safe to stand on the side of this armchair? And then I'm like, of course it isn't. Like, just even gravity, right? It isn't. Dad then comes over. He like steadies himself against the armchair. He's like, go for it. I'm like, no, can you imagine? Like, now I'll stand up on this armchair. Dad is in no world strong enough to prevent this armchair from tipping over.
I was just about to say, not because of you being heavy, but like Dad hasn't got a muscle in his entire body.
No, God bless.
He's just like bone and ego.
He luckily hasn't fallen over yet though, or spilled wine on any object that I am.
Oh well, you've 3 weeks left. So there's plenty of time.
Oh,
did I tell you that? Speaking of, is this chair strong enough to support me? Brandon won't let me go on the swing.
Excuse me?
He's literally like, you're too heavy for the swing. Now I'm too afraid to sit in it in case it does break, and then he was right. I'll have to admit I sat in it.
The same swing we have in the back?
No, ours is a different swing set, but like I think it has a limit. It says something like up to 180 pounds. Beatrice, I'm 230 pounds now. So like I'm pretty far over the limit.
But it's like an expiration date. Like they put it on an air on the side of caution.
Yeah, but imagine the absolute mortification if I sat down on the swing and the whole thing collapsed.
Just make sure you do it when Mom and Dad are here. You can blame Dad.
I don't think he'd buy it. No, I don't think he'd buy it. His best friend Phil, he'd be texting him going, Philip, tell me the truth.
My God. You know, I said to Dad the other day, I said, I know Brandon is the dream son-in-law because like never has a gift been so well received as this 3D printer. I said, but you know what, Dad? I said, what you don't know about Brandon is that he actually hates the 3D printer. He's confided in me. He hates it and he buys all these 3D printed things online and then pretends to have made them to endear himself to you. Dad goes, what? And he just...
I thought you were going to say, what you don't know about Brandon is that he hates Rosemary. And like, in my head, I was like, Dad's not going to care.
What? Yeah, Dad wouldn't care. He only cared about the 3D printer. Why would he care about that?
Because I'm his daughter and he's supposed to. Oh my God, sorry. Back to Mum and Dad. This isn't about motivation at all, but we watched episode 3 of The Last of Us last night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And honestly, Beatrice, I was feeling sorry for you watching that with Mum and Dad.
Just with Dad.
There was a lot of like romantic kissing going on that I was just like, oh God.
I think what I found gross is that there was a lot of romantic bearded kissing.
Oh, yeah.
And Dad has a beard. And every time they kissed, I kind of was like trying to avoid looking at Dad because like he's quite... There are some similarities there. And I was just like, this is a bit too close to the bone now for me, if you pardon the pun.
I just kept thinking the two beards were going to get stuck together like two Brillo pads. But I was feeling very sorry for you at the moment when our man from the White Lotus went, I can't remember his name in it, Frank, when he goes, and just so you know, I'm not a whore. So if we do this, I'll be hanging around. I was just like, oh, so cringe watching that in front of Dad.
No, I mean, actually, I'd already read that this was a very romantic episode and stuff. So, but Dad was looking very gleeful at the beginning, right? So your man, the survivalist, he's in his house.
Oh, I'd say Dad was loving him, yeah.
No, Dad was like, oh, this is going to end badly for someone now. Get a mate, right? Your man's like there eating his dinner at the table. And Dad's like, oh, someone's about to die, I think. I'm like, I'm afraid not, right? I was like, not sure about that. Dad's like, I'll tell you for a fact now. In a situation like this, Beatrice, what do you think you would do? Do you think you'd feed somebody and then let them stay in your house? I don't think so. This survivalist is no fool. He's about to give your man the hatchet. I'm like,
Oh, God. That's where Dad's mind was going. Dark.
Dad was just waiting just for sheer murder. But I mean, in fairness, I'd have to say, like, the worst survivalist ever, like any survivalist worth his salt would not go out to the pit that somebody had fallen in, just let them sit there. B, never bring him inside the compound or feed him. Just be like, sorry, mate. And if you're going to pull you out of the hole in the ground, I am going to send you off on your merry way. There's no, would you like a shower and a coq au vin? I don't think so.
Just a coq au vin. Were you waiting to get that in there?
No, it just occurred to me.
Oh, but he was lonely, and also it was love at first sight. But like, I agree with you. Any survivalist worth the salt wouldn't go out and look in the hole.
No.
But once he looked in the hole, he was done for.
I know, I'd be done for, in fairness, if Armand climbed out of the hole.
Oh my God, he was gorgeous, and he was much bigger in that than I thought he was in the White Lotus. He's a very good actor.
A very entertaining person. The minute he came in and made me laugh, I'd be done for.
Oh my God,
I don't care if fungus grows out of my ear holes. You've got me.
I sat down at the piano as well, and he started bashing out that Linda Ronstadt song, and I nearly died laughing.
That was classic.
So funny. Oh my God, it was so good.
And oh yeah, then when your man starts playing the piano, and I was like, let me tell you, I only genuinely cried at the last 5 minutes of that episode. Dad has been so annoying ever since. Tears through the whole thing. Waterfall from minute 1. I'm like, he's so annoying. He's actually driving me nuts.
Your dad impression there gave him such a mean little tight mouth. You're like, waterfall from minute 1.
Oh, so annoying.
Sorry, let's get back to motivation. Dad does not motivate me. I think Dad has tried, bless him, over the years to motivate me, like the time that I told him that I weighed 16 stone and he said, you'll have to do something about that. But like, I didn't find that very motivating.
I don't know that Dad knows how to be motivating because he's not the most motivated. Well, he's very single-minded, but I wouldn't say that he's very motivated, right? Because like he also, like, I always go, why did you not finish this, Dad, or finish that? Or like, you started this train, or like I mean, he finished the gyro, but like still it's a bit ongoing. But the thing is, Dad actually enjoys the process.
He does,
of things.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care about whether this gets finished. He's just enjoying the making, the creation, the act, right? So like he's the perfect kind of designer because he's not just obsessed with get this done and show me the end result.
Yeah.
He actually really enjoys it. But most people do things like with, as the means to an end, where Dad's all about the means itself.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. We actually talked about that before, I think you'd read something where somebody was going, we should try to think more about the process and to enjoy the act of doing something rather than just expecting what's the result going to be? What am I going to get out of this? Like, what am I going to be at the end of this?
Well, from that perspective, he would be, I'd find Dad motivating because he shows you like the act of lifelong learning, enjoying, what you do. Like that's why he's such a happy person. Sometimes he's in a bit of a bad mood today. And then Mom was driving him Mad. She's winding him up. I mean, I don't know why he's in such a bad mood. She's sitting right beside him. She's nothing to do. Her hands are empty. She's just sitting
She
beside him,
loves
commenting
nothing
on it.
more than to sniff out a bad mood and just like niggle at it all day. She
Yeah.
honestly loves that. Poor dad. I feel sorry for him because
Well,
anytime he's even in, your father's in a terrible mood, and he's like, I am not. See,
well, I'll tell you what they do motivate. They would motivate you. Like they're constantly sitting
get
in
out
the
of the
same chair
house?
beside each other. No, they'd motivate you to work on a long-term loving relationship because they are very
Aw.
much in love. Even when they argue. Oh yeah, he goes to her, Claire, fuck off. Right?
Today.
Yeah. And she looks shocked. And I was like, oh, they're about to have a row. And then she goes, that's very rude. Then she turns to me, winks at me, and starts to laugh. Like she's such a troublemaker. Like you'd want to kill her. And he goes, if I am in a bit bad mood, let me tell you why. And he goes, because your mother was standing looking out the window this morning while I was sitting on the edge of the bed putting on my socks, one at a time. And she starts laughing, right? So I'm like, what are they talking about here? And he goes, I was pulling on one sock and then pulling on the other. I'm like, this is
She
very
pulled off the
bizarre.
first sock, did she?
No. And he goes, and I could see her standing there at the window waiting to stamp on the toe of the sock.
Oh yeah, stamp on the toe of the sock. She loves doing that as well.
Yeah, and he goes, there's nothing she loves more than stamping on the toe of my sock just as I'm about to put it on, right? And I'm like, what? And then I turn around and Mom is literally holding onto the side of the table, falling around the place laughing. And she's like, I do love it. He gets so annoyed. They're actually nuts.
It's completely nuts. I don't think we've really got anywhere, Beatrice. We don't have the key to motivation at all.
Well, I did. I came up with a good one. I said, don't give kids overly specific feedback because not only is it unmotivating, but it will give them a hang-up for the rest of their lives. Find somebody you love who loves you back that you can abuse and be mean to, and I mean that like lightly, a la mom, and who will take it on the chin and laugh with you about it, even on your worst days. Must be very motivating to wake up and have somebody who literally looks at you and thinks that the sun shines out of your head no matter what you're like. That's motivating.
That would be motivating for me to just change nothing. Be like, I am perfect. I will just lie back down in bed.
Yeah, I wouldn't say either of them now have ever managed to make the other one do something they didn't want to do in the first place. So, no.
Good point.
No.
Good point. That's actually a topic for a future podcast. How do you make somebody do something? Like how do you actually manage the, when people say you have to make them think it's their idea. How do you do that? That's what I want to know.
As if, listen, you don't. You threat and you harangue. It's like with kids. Or the carrot or the stick, or you reward them. What do they want? And you give it to them. At the end, when they've done the task, not like me, the fool beforehand. Yes, Nash, you can have your phone for 3 hours.
Oh, maybe that's my problem, that I can't think of anything that I want enough to motivate me to do anything to get it. You know what I mean? I'm like a bold, spoiled child.
It's all about manifesting and visioning, right? That's why they say you should put like pictures of yourself, like doing the things you want to, like if you want to go to, if you really want to reward yourself, but like, would I really care? You're going to get a reward. You're going to go to Paris for a week. I'd be like, oh, I'm wrecked. I don't know. It sounds exhausting.
I hate, listen, we can talk about manifesting another episode. I hate the idea of manifesting and I hate being told to manifest things.
Maybe give yourself some rewards. What if you were to say like, if I work out, then I will give myself, if I work out 10 days in a row, I mean, this is just an example because that's the one you brought up.
Go on.
I will give myself, what do you really want? This will be Mom now. I bring myself down to Barnes & Noble and buy myself a nice book. But you see, the problem is you'd have bought yourself the book if you wanted it today.
That's what I'm saying. That is the problem.
That is the problem. Mine would have to be more like, I'm going to get on the Peloton, do a 45 minute, and then I'm going to buy myself that $1,800 pair of YSL boots that I'd love to buy.
Tell you what, Beatrice, you get yourself a job and you can buy yourself those $1,800 pair of YSL boots.
Bitch.
Too soon. Thank you all so much for listening to Not Without My Sister. You can sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/notwithoutmysister, where for $5 a month you get an extra bonus episode each and every Friday, and you'll get this episode one day early and without any ads. We really appreciate you listening to us. We love you. Send us your questions, queries, comments via Instagram at notwithoutmysis, or you can find us individually on Instagram. Just search Rosemary, search Beatrice, we'll pop up. Not Without My Sister is recorded in studio in Fort Wayne by Don Kirkland, who also wrote our theme tune, and the original illustration is by Lindsay Neilson.
But listen, here's the point. Like, I couldn't buy those shoes anyway. It's too expensive. I couldn't spend $1,800 on a pair of shoes. So, see, therefore, the motivation is false. And now I'm back to the Barnes and Noble book, which I could buy myself anyway.
Have you not bought yourself a pair of $1,800 shoes before, or like something for
I most
$1,800?
certainly,
A handbag.
maybe one handbag in my life, but I don't even think it was that expensive. And I mean, certainly not if it wasn't on sale, etc.
Thank you all so much for listening. Catch you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Absolute knob.